So, my rich sister-in-law decides to backstab me after I spent all my hard-earned savings so that she can have the baby shower she desperately wanted. And guess what she decides to do right after that? If something seems too good to be true, then it's too good to be true. I can blame others for what happened to me, but I think I'm now an adult and I could admit my own stupidity. All I wanted to do was to finally have a bond with my brother's wife. I knew that she was higher class, that I was probably no one in her world, and it would have been better for me to just stay out of the way. Well, I cannot go back and tell my past self that, but I can warn others about the danger of money. I only met Monica once or twice before she and my brother got married. We came from a respected family, but Monica's family was on another level. I was not surprised that my brother managed to get her, though. My brother Jackson has the gift of gab, and is making names for himself in finance. He and his wife lead a very comfortable life, and they're always busy making money or attending events that I could only dream of. I tried to build a relationship with my sister-in-law when they just gotten married, but she was a busy woman and paid no heed. So, imagine my surprise when my brother said that his wife wanted me to come over for dinner. I've never worried too much about my appearance, but under her shark-like gaze, I felt inferior. The things they owned, their house, the cars, I could only dreamt of it. She was humble enough, telling me that she wanted to ask a favor from me. She was pregnant, as we all knew, but her husband had to go overseas for more than 4 months and was scared to leave her alone. He did not trust the nurses much and needed her to be taken care of. So they wanted to ask if I could let her stay at my house for some months and if I could also help her out with some things since she's pregnant. The other thing was that I have a 13-year-old daughter, so I've been through pregnancy and have worked in health. They felt I would be the best person for the job. They said that they were willing to pay me for the food and my time. They felt it would be better for her to be cared for in a warmer environment. I had no problem with it. It was my sister-in-law, and she was bringing my niece or nephew into the world, so I would gladly help her out. Even when I told my mom about it, she said she would love it if Monica came to stay with me, and we could get to know each other. The transition of her moving in was very quick. Soon, she was settled into the guest bedroom, and I was starting to get to know her. I was very fussy over her, as it's my nature since I have a daughter. She expressed to me that her own family was not like that. They did not like to get their hands dirty or do work that was beneath them. It sounded like such a lonely life to have. Monica and I settled into a routine, though there was some hiccups. She likes to laze about and let me do everything, which I let her do, but once I was done, I started making her do some maternal exercises. Of course, she complained to mom and brother, but in the end, I got my way. We were able to compromise on most things and I was managing well. But the problem was that Monica liked to buy unnecessary stuff. When she went shopping, she did not hesitate to buy me some fancy appliances or clothing. She even bought things for my mom and gave her old designer clothes to keep. I'm not much of a receiver, I'm more of a giver, but slowly, she began spoiling us, and the comfy life began to get comfortable, too comfortable. Sometimes she would ask me to call in sick to work because she wanted to try out a new 5-star restaurant, and there you would see me doing it. Mom got swept up in it too as well, and I did not realize, and at the moment, most nights we did not even have to cook. She would just get her driver to take us to a restaurant. We experienced it all. Spas, beautiful treatments, impromptu trips. It was a lot. What started to happen as she was spoiling us and making us more dependent on her was that we started to listen to her more. If she woke up and told me that she did not like how my pots were looking, I would allow her to get new ones. Slowly, my life was not my own. It was about waiting on her hand and foot. I'm ashamed to say this, but it's like we fell under the spell of her exclusivity. Imagine this. Someone who had appeared to be exclusive to us was suddenly bothering with us mere mortals. But the thing was that she said she was relieved to be around me and mother because we were real people. She said that the people she grew up around were superficial and constantly judging, and she never felt like she had a real family. And even with all the pampering, there was a bond that formed with all three of us. We all cared for the baby she was carrying, so above all else, we made sure that she was okay. If she woke up in the middle of the night and needed to go to the hospital, then we would take her. Things went on like that, and then I found myself tasked with organizing her baby shower. As her pregnancy progressed, she was getting more forgetful, so she needed me to organize stuff. During that time, that's when I met her friends, and I did not like them one bit. Just having a conversation with them was absolutely mind-numbing. All they could talk about was material things and laugh at anything that was beneath their status. But they had to be there so they could help me plan the party that was going to be the party of the century, according to them. The one I hated the most was Sandra. I felt as if Sandra was very envious and critical of Monica. Imagine this. She told Monica, who was heavily pregnant, that she was looking like a whale, and laughed as if it was funny. Monica laughed as well, but when Sandra left, Monica barely touched her food and spent hours on the phone talking to someone about getting surgery right after birth. I wanted to tell her that to hell was Sandra, but she would just tell me that I did not understand. Either way, I ended up planning for the baby shower. The venue itself was very inclusive. I've only ever known people who worked there. It cost a lot of money just for a few hours. I got all the quotations and forwarded them to Monica directly. Normally, she would just offer her credit card and all would be well. But here's the thing. The cracks started to show. Because even though she had Jackson seemed to be very successful, it was all a front. They were trying to build something for themselves, but she was still using her father's money. She told me that her credit card had maxed out and Dad was refusing to get her another one. When I asked if she could ask my brother, she got very angry with me. She told me that my husband could not even afford that much at this time because he put everything at stake so they would build their own future. Every well had a bottom, and it appeared that Monica had reached her well bottom. I asked what the problem was, but she refused to say. She said that she would sort it out, but she needed me to cover the cost for now, then she would pay me back. I said, okay, I did have money saved up. I should not have done this. She had shown me so much vulnerability, and all I wanted to do was help her, so I used the money I saved up for my daughter Emma. Emma is insanely smart. She's 13, but is very good with technology. She's been begging me to attend a bootcamp where they'll be taught coding and programming. It cost a fortune. I had to work extra shifts and jobs just to get the money. And what did I do? I emptied out my savings account so her baby shower could be paid for. For she told me that she would get my money back long before the registration date, then I could pay for Emma's camp. So all was well, and I continued with the party, but the party drew nearer, and she still had not paid me back. What sucked was that I saw that she was buying more dumb stuff, but she did not think about paying me back the money. 2 days before the registration closed, I decided to call my brother and tell him. He said he was sorry and that he would wire the money to me immediately. I was still waiting for him to send the money the day after, and then, to make things worse, she decided that she was going to stay at Sandra's for a few days. I asked her about the money, but she said it would be covered and that I was just being a drama queen. She said that she could even give me back 3 times the amount. She said that she'd spent so much money on me already, so why was I even making such a fit? So I just shut up and let her leave. Then the registration came and went, and my daughter was disappointed. I got tired of messaging her, and she ended up blocking me. As for my brother, he barely had any internet connection ever. On top of that, he kept giving me excuse after excuse. At first, I believed I was going to get my money back and that she had not used me, but soon I opened up my eyes. She and my brother had not shown us the real truth about them, and I'd fallen for this trap. What put me over the edge was when her baby shower came. I was mad because I made sure that everything was arranged, yet never got my money for it. My mom did not know what was going on with the money. I did not have the heart to tell her. So when she asked if we could go to the shower, I assumed we were invited. So we rocked up there with gifts and our best clothing, only to be stopped by security. I showed the security my ID and told him I was her sister. But he refused us entry until there was a scene. She heard the commotion and asked what's going on. I asked her why we're not being let in. She lowered her voice, not wanting anyone else to hear or tell us that we're not good enough to be there. She said that we were important people and we were dressed in last season's clothes, and we wouldn't fit in with these people. She said it politely, but that made me mad. Her little party was only possible because of my sacrifice. I told her that if that's the case, maybe her friends could have given her the money to pay me back. She tried to shut me up, but I shouted even louder. More people came to see what was going on, and by then we had walked into the foyer of the venue. It was built in such a way that there's a pool in the middle. Everyone's now staring at us, and she kept trying to make me quiet down. I told them that everything was paid for with my savings, which she refused to give back. She said that I was lying and that I was a leech, so I asked if she wanted me to take out the proof. Things got even more heated, and soon we were outright insulting each other. And then her bestie Sandra came by and tried to force me out, but it was like my strength multiplied. All I saw was red. It happened in slow motion, and I pushed Sandra away from me. She was right in front of Monica and was about to fall. She took Monica's hand, and then I heard the crack. Monica landed with her back at the side of the fountain and Sandra on top of her. There was suddenly silence in my head and then horror. Her legs were at an odd angle, and people were rushing to her side to get Sandra off her. I tried to get closer, and the last thing I wanted was for the baby to get hurt. Sandra was barely scraped. She pointed toward me and told me to get out. There was nothing much to do, so I obliged. The next morning, the cops came to arrest me for attempted murder of my sister-in-law. I knew that her baby was okay and that her legs were only crushed. I knew my truth and stood by it, and my mom was there and she defended me against who thought they were experts. Some of the things they were saying were outright ridiculous. They thought that I was jealous of my sister-in-law because of her baby, so I wanted to hurt the baby. I have my own child. Why would I be jealous of another baby? I know that she and my brother tried their hardest to get me locked up, but there was simply no evidence that it was even my fault. Everyone had seen what happened. Not only that, but several people took videos of the drama. There was clear footage from all angles that Sandra tried to attack me. I dodged left, right, and then she lost her footing and dragged Monica down with her. I got out with nothing on my record and the case was closed. I blocked her, my brother, and anyone else who supported her and decided that I needed to focus on my life and my daughter. I'd been so caught up in all that flashiness, but now realized that I wanted no part of that fake world. I hoped my brother would get out before they swallowed him whole. Monica permanently moved back to her house, leaving a lot of her stuff behind. She still owed me, showing no signs of wanting to pay me back, so I decided to get my money back. I sold everything she bought for me and my mom at cheaper prices. Even though I had to sell them for cheaper, I managed to get a decent chunk. I used that money to make up for what I disappointed my daughter, all while trying to help my sister-in-law out. I was glad to find another boot camp for her that was starting in a few weeks. There were very limited spots, so my daughter aced all the entry tests and she got in. With the money from the sales, I was able to pay for her full course. It was worth it to see her excited when she climbed the bus that would take her to the camp. I know that I was not able to achieve my dreams because there was not much money, but at least I was taught good values by my mom. I hope to pass those on to my daughter as she grows older. Now, I know why they say that the more money, the more problems. Look what's happening to my brother and his wife. She's all alone in that home, surrounded by people who do not even care for her. Her husband can't be there for her because he's trying to make money to fund their flashy lifestyle. Who knows if he'll even be there for the birth, but I guess now it's not really my problem, is it? My mother's very saddened by the whole situation, but she says that how he handled the situation shows that he's forgotten the values that she taught him growing up, so he's no longer her son until he starts acting right. Alright guys, so this story I know was a lot to take in. I do have one specific question to ask you guys if you want to drop your answers in the comment section. If you were in OP's position, and you could either send your daughter to coding school at the boot camp, or you could help out Monica with this baby shower, which one would you choose to do? Even knowing all the things about Monica, would you still help her in hopes that she'll pay you back? It didn't seem to work out very well for OP, but you never know. In a different situation, different scenario, it might have worked out just fine. So guys, drop your thoughts down below on that subject. Also, if you've ever been in anything similar to this, go ahead and share your story in the comment section. We still have one more story to look at today, and the title for that is this: Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my father for breaking our deal? Well, let's find out. I'm 17 male, and when I was 8, my parents bought me a piano and signed me up for lessons. I was super excited because I absolutely love music. Over time, I kind of became known as the piano guy at school. I play at school concerts, accompany the school jazz choir, and play once a week for the residents at a couple of retirement homes in our town. When I was 15, I started to talk about quitting lessons, and my parents quickly tried to guilt me out of it. I told them I just wanted to try other things, and that between pianos and studying, I didn't really have much time left for other extracurriculars. My dad proposed a deal. If I kept playing and taking lessons until I reached the level 10 RCM, Royal Conservatory of Music, and continued to keep my grades up at school, he would buy me a new car of my choosing. I jumped at it, and we shook hands on the deal. I should explain that my family is well off financially. I have a very privileged life, I know this, but I wouldn't say I've been spoiled. If I ever wanted a luxury item like a new phone or a gaming console, I have to buy it myself with money that I've saved from summer and after-school jobs. I should also explain that my dad's big on loopholes. When we compete, he always finds a way to win, and when I do it, it doesn't count because of some loophole. It drives me nuts, but he thinks it's hilarious. Whenever I complain about him not playing fair, his answer's always the same: life isn't fair. So, because of our deal, I kept up with my lessons. I spent about 1 to 2 hours a day on the piano while keeping my grades up. Last summer, I took my level 9 RCM exams and passed, fulfilling my part of the deal. I told my dad I'd choose the BMW X5 plug-in hybrid SUV. A couple months ago on my birthday, I came downstairs for breakfast, and my dad told me there was a surprise waiting for me in the garage. I ran out, and sitting in the middle of the floor was a 1x24 scale toy BMW X5. My dad burst out laughing and said, "A deal's a deal, as promised, here's your brand new Beamer." My heart absolutely broke. I asked if he was being serious, and he said I couldn't seriously have expected him to buy a 17-year-old a real brand new BMW, and that we could discuss getting me a more reasonably priced used car. I said we had a deal, and I fulfilled my end of the bargain, and he said he did it too, since I never said the car had to be full-size and drivable. I said he wasn't being fair, and his response is once again, life isn't fair. Well, ever since this happened, I've been distant with my dad. I honestly feel like he betrayed my trust, and that he deliberately made a fool out of me. He keeps bringing up the idea of a used car, but I told him I'm not interested, which I admit is kinda petty. I have enough money saved up that I can buy a cheap used car myself, and I just feel like if I accept one from him now, it's like saying that breaking his promise didn't matter, that he didn't do anything wrong. So guys, my question to everybody listening is, am I the a-hole for the way I handled the situation? Alright guys, so I found a very insightful comment on this story, so let's read that in the comment section. Not the a-hole. I would sit your father down, tell him that you're very disappointed in him, and that his actions will mean you're not going to be able to trust his promises in the future. As Prince used to say, the future is a very long time. Eventually, he's going to regret it, and even if he continues to make fun of you for something you're upset about when you were young, you might think of some examples where he might want you to do something in exchange for a promise. Well, it's unfortunate that you have to be the adult here, and that your relationship with him won't ever have the trust it once had. So guys, let me know your thoughts about that comment. Do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? Do you want to add a little bit to it? Drop it in the comment section. If you guys don't know who I am, my name's Mr. Reddito. I read stories every single day. If that's something that you could be into, go ahead and click that subscribe. I would love to see you guys tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, and hopefully I'll see you then.